At the annual staff retreat, my manager laughed loudly and told everyone, "Oh, don't mind her, she's just here for the free snacks and gossip. If she spent half as much time working as she does complaining, maybe she'd get a promotion." Everyone went silent as I stared at him, then he turned to me and said, "You're not going to cry, are you? You sensitive types always overreact." So I opened my laptop, projected his private Slack messages about trimming dead weight, and said, "No, I came prepared. I work for a software company based out of Denver, Colorado. I've been there for 4 years now. I'm not the loud type. I show up, do my work, stay out of drama. I'm the kind of person who sends follow-ups, organizes shared folders, and keeps track of everything in spreadsheets. I don't wear flashy clothes. I don't show off. But I do my job right. Our company has this thing every year, an annual staff retreat. It's supposed to be fun and team bonding, but let's be real, it's mostly just a chance for the managers to show off and act like they're on vacation. We go to the same mountain resort near Boulder every time. It's nice, but it's still work. This year, I didn't want to go. I almost backed out. But something in me said I needed to. There had been too many things lately. Too many comments. Too many lost emails. Too many times I was told I wasn't visible enough while watching others get praised for things I did. Most of it came from my manager, Tom Renshaw. Tom was promoted to our team lead about a year ago. He used to be alright when we were equals, but once he got promoted, he turned into a different person. He made snide jokes in meetings. Interrupted people. Took credit for ideas. But he saved his worst for me. Maybe it was because I didn't laugh at his jokes. Maybe it was because I wasn't part of his little circle of favorites. Or maybe he just didn't like that I didn't play along. Anyway, we're at the retreat. Second day. Morning session. They have us all gathered in the big conference room. The company paid for a bunch of snacks and catering. People were lounging around, joking, taking selfies. I was sitting at the edge of the room with my laptop, checking emails, and talking with 2 coworkers about a weird permissions error on one of our internal dashboards. Tom walks in loud. Always loud. Always like he's the main act. He scans the room, spots me, grins. And then, out of nowhere, he says, super loud, "Oh, don't mind her, she's just here for the free snacks and gossip. If she spent half as much time working as she does complaining, maybe she'd get a promotion." At first I thought I misheard him. But then the room went dead silent. Everyone turned and stared at me. He chuckled. Then added, "You're not going to cry, are you? You sensitive types always overreact." He was smiling like it was funny. Like he expected everyone to laugh with him. But no one did. I just stared at him. Then I stood up, walked to the front of the room, and opened my laptop. Plugged into the projector. Took a breath. What happened next wasn't an accident. I'd been ready. I'd been collecting screenshots for weeks. Maybe months. I started clicking through them. One by one. Slack messages. From him. Direct messages he'd sent to other team leads. To HR reps, even to someone in finance. One message said, "We need to cut dead weight after Q2. I've got a short list. She's on it." Another one, "She talks too much during check-ins. Always emotional. Not leadership material." Then another, "Let's move the UX update to someone else. Don't want her slowing us down." Then there was the worst one. A message he sent to another manager, "If I push her a little harder, she'll crack. Either quit or file something. Either way we win." I kept clicking. No one was laughing. A couple people actually turned pale. One of the junior devs looked over at Tom like he didn't know him anymore. Tom stood there frozen. Then he tried to laugh it off. "Alright, let's not make this a thing," he said. "This is clearly out of context." But no one was buying it. I said nothing else. I closed the presentation, sat back down, and stared straight ahead. Because I wasn't done yet. And this? This was just part one. After I showed those messages, the room stayed quiet for a long time. Tom stood there trying to fake a smile, but his face was stiff. I could see it in his eyes, panic. He kept glancing around, waiting for someone to speak up for him. Nobody did. The HR manager, Patricia, finally cleared her throat. Let's take a 5-minute break, she said, voice shaky. People filed out of the room without saying a word. Some wouldn't even look at Tom. A few glanced at me like they didn't know what to say. I didn't move. I just sat still, staring at the blank projector screen. Patricia pulled Tom aside. They walked out together, fast. I watched them through the glass doors, arguing outside near the coffee station. He was waving his arms, trying to explain himself. She didn't look impressed. Then, someone sat next to me. It was Jay, one of our lead developers. You've been sitting on that for how long? He asked quietly. I looked at him. Long enough. He nodded. I thought something was off. He shut down 3 of your proposals and used your last one in his QBR slide deck. That was true. I hadn't told anyone, but I remembered it. The 5-minute break turned into 20. Then 30. Eventually, Patricia came back and asked me to step into a private conference room. Tom wasn't there. She shut the door and sat across from me. What you showed is serious, she said. You understand that, right? I nodded. She looked tired. Why didn't you come to HR earlier? I paused. Because the last time someone did, they got laid off 2 weeks later. Her face didn't change, but she blinked. We're not supposed to retaliate. But it happens, I said. People talk. We all know it happens. She sighed. Do you have more? I reached into my bag and handed her a flash drive. There's a folder marked archive, I told her. It has everything. Messages. Voice memos. Email headers. I didn't record any Zooms, I'm not stupid, but I took notes. She took the drive and stared at it for a second. Then slipped it into her laptop. I watched her face as she clicked through the files. Her lips pressed into a thin line. She didn't say much, but I saw her hands clench on the keyboard. I can't promise what happens next, she said. But I will escalate this. I left the room feeling cold. Not angry. Just hollow. When I got back to the main hall, the mood had changed. People weren't laughing anymore. The music had stopped. The snacks were untouched. Tom was gone. Nobody said it, but we all knew he'd been pulled. That night at the hotel, I got a text from a blocked number. I almost didn't look at it, but something told me I should. It said, "You're making a big mistake." You think they're going to protect you? They won't. You'll be next. I stared at it for a long time. Then I turned my phone off, opened my laptop, and started digging. Because Tom wasn't acting alone. And now that I'd opened the door, I wasn't going to stop until I found every single one of them. The text shook me, but not in the way the sender probably hoped. I wasn't scared. I was pissed. I didn't reply. I saved the number, screenshotted the message, and sent it to my personal email with the subject line, "In case I disappear." Then I opened a spreadsheet I kept on my desktop. I called it Noise. It had names, dates, small things, comments, projects, who got what assignment, who got skipped over. It started out as venting. Now it was a pattern. I added a new column and titled it, Connections. That night, I barely slept. I combed through LinkedIn, company press releases, internal org charts. I noticed something I hadn't pieced together before. Tom was close with 2 other department heads, Riley, sales, and Brooke, marketing. They were always sitting together during all hands, always backing each other's ideas. They'd been at the company less than 2 years, but somehow they were everywhere. Then I remembered something. Back in March, a junior designer named Elise had been let go suddenly. She'd made a small mistake in a pitch deck, something that usually got a warning at most. But instead, she was walked out. Rumor was she had spoken up in a meeting about being sidelined and said something about favoritism. At the time, nobody questioned it. Now I did. I messaged her on LinkedIn. I didn't think she'd reply. But 10 minutes later, she did. You saw it too, huh? We talked on the phone for 2 hours. Elise told me everything. How Brooke would set meetings without her, how feedback she gave was ignored, how she got written up for being too assertive. How Tom told her once in private, "You're talented, but you don't fit the culture." When she reported it to HR? Nothing happened. 2 weeks later, she was let go. Restructuring, they said. I asked if she still had her documentation. She laughed bitterly. I kept receipts. You want them? She emailed me a file that night. It was like opening a vault. Notes. Screenshots. Even audio from a team call where Tom joked about clearing house to make room for a real team. I passed it to Patricia first thing in the morning. By lunchtime, rumors were flying. Riley didn't show up to his afternoon session. Brooke said she wasn't feeling well and went back to her room. That night, I got another message. This one came from a different number. You should stop. Before this gets worse for you. But now I knew something they didn't. They thought I was alone. I wasn't. I had Elise. I had Jay. And now, I had more people starting to talk. Little messages trickling in from coworkers. I saw what you did. Let me know if you need to talk. I've got stuff too. Whatever Tom and his friends were trying to build, they'd built it on fear. But fear only works until someone pushes back. And I wasn't going anywhere. The next morning, I woke up to 3 missed calls from HR. Patricia left a voicemail asking me to come in early before the final day's meeting. I didn't rush. I knew whatever was coming, it wasn't going to be simple. When I got to the meeting room, Patricia was already there. Her laptop was open. She wasn't alone. Next to her sat someone I hadn't met before, older man, gray suit, calm eyes. He introduced himself as Greg Monroe, one of the company's outside legal consultants. I need to ask you a few questions, he said. This is confidential. He asked about how I got the messages, what I knew about Tom, Riley, and Brooke. I told him everything. Word for word. I didn't leave anything out. At the end of it, Patricia turned her laptop toward me. She showed me a document. It was a full internal investigation report. Over 30 pages. Elise's case was in there. So were others. 5 more names. Some of them I remembered, people who left suddenly or got moved to different departments with no explanation. Greg leaned forward. This goes deeper than just Tom. But what you did, what you showed, started something we couldn't ignore. I didn't speak. Just know, he said slowly, this won't be quiet. He wasn't lying. The next week, while we were all back at the main office in Denver, the storm hit. An all-hands meeting was scheduled for Monday morning. We were told it was mandatory. When I walked into the main conference room, it was packed. Not just with employees, there were outside HR reps, security officers, and 2 senior executives who usually never showed up in person. Patricia walked in with a folder. She didn't smile. She didn't sugarcoat it. As of this morning, Tom Renshaw is no longer employed by this company, she said. Neither are Riley Carter or Brooke Sanders. Gasps. Whispers. Then she added, due to serious violations of company policy, abuse of authority, and a pattern of retaliatory behavior against coworkers and subordinates, this organization is taking full accountability. Some of you may have been affected. We will be opening a third-party hotline for statements and support." People looked stunned. And then she said something that made my stomach turn. "There is also evidence that certain team members ignored warnings or failed to escalate complaints. We will be reviewing management performance as well." So it wasn't just Tom's little crew. It was the people who stood by. The ones who saw and did nothing. Over the next few days, people disappeared. Resignations. Terminations. Transfers. The company said they were restructuring, but we all knew what it really was. A full purge. Elise got a call 2 weeks later. An apology. A settlement offer. She called me right after, laughing. "They tried to buy my silence," she said. "I took the money, but not before I made them add an apology letter. In writing." Jay got promoted to lead developer. One of my old proposals, the one Tom blocked, got dusted off and fast-tracked. They asked me to lead the new project team for it. I said no. I wasn't staying. It wasn't about fear. It was about being done. I needed out. I'd seen too much. And honestly, I had changed too. I gave my notice and left on my own terms. But before I did one more thing. Remember that spreadsheet I kept? Noise? I scrubbed all personal info from it, cleaned up the files, removed anything that could trace back to individual coworkers. Then I uploaded it anonymously to an employee watchdog blog that focused on toxic workplaces. I included the full story, the timeline, the cover-ups, the retaliation. Everything. It went viral. Other employees from sister companies started coming forward. Former interns. Contract workers. Even a few senior managers from other states. The board had to issue a public statement. Investors started asking questions. The CEO announced a full audit and culture transformation initiative. Too late. The damage was done. Tom? Last I heard, he tried to get a job at another tech firm in Austin. But the blog article followed him. It showed up in his search results. Comments lit up on his LinkedIn. He took his profile down. Riley and Brooke? They vanished. Probably rebranded, maybe moved. Doesn't matter. Their names were on the report. People remember. As for me? I took 6 months off. Traveled a little. Slept. Healed. Eventually, I started consulting for smaller companies, places where I could actually build something instead of just surviving. Funny thing is, people started calling me the one who ended the retreat crew. They meant it as a joke. But to me, it was simple. I didn't do it for revenge. I did it because no one else would. But I'm not going to lie, it felt damn good watching it all burn. They lit the match. I just handed them the mirror.